Sweet Vow on Blu-ray, Byun Woo-seok and Hye-yoon reveal the secret that never changes. What promise could melt hearts, silence doubts, and leave fans breathless long after the cameras stopped rolling? Hidden behind the glamour of the screen lies a vow so touching it feels eternal. Join Red Carpet Revealed as we uncover the secret moment that has everyone talking, right now. The screen fades to black, the credits roll. Audiences are left with that familiar ache, longing, nostalgia, and the insatiable desire for more. 4 months after the series concluded, the name Byun Woo-seok and Hye-yoon lived on not just in the episodes they filmed, but in the hearts of fans who believed their chemistry was too powerful to be contained by fiction alone. And then, almost like destiny, the Blu-ray edition was released, carrying with it the whispers of something extraordinary, a vow, a promise caught on camera, tender and unforgettable. It was not part of the script, not part of the carefully choreographed performances that millions had adored. It was something else entirely, a sweet vow, spoken softly, carrying the weight of eternity. What was this promise? Why did it matter? And why did it leave fans across the world breathless? Their hearts pounding, their timelines exploding with tears and laughter? These questions are what fuel the frenzy. And with every replay of that Blu-ray scene, the legend grows stronger. The vow was more than just words exchanged in a fleeting moment, it was a revelation. A confession that felt raw and unshakable. For Byun Woo-seok and Hye-yoon, it was a turning point that would etch itself into both their careers and into the cultural memory of fandom forever. To understand the impact of this vow, one must first revisit the journey that brought them here. Byun Woo-seok, once known as a rising face in supporting roles, fought his way into the spotlight with a combination of hard work, sincerity, and undeniable charisma. He was tall, magnetic, and yet always carried with him an air of humility that set him apart. Hye-yoon, in contrast, had stormed into public consciousness with her sharp wit, emotional depth, and the kind of talent that makes audiences feel as though she isn't acting at all, but living. When the two came together in their series, sparks flew, not just on screen, but in the imaginations of every viewer. The drama they shared was already considered iconic. Their characters' love story unfolded with a mixture of tension and tenderness that felt almost too real. And the behind-the-scenes glimpses hinted at a friendship, maybe something deeper, that carried the same energy. Fans shipped them relentlessly, filling forums with evidence, dissecting interviews, and overlaying music onto clips of their most emotional scenes. The release of the Blu-ray was expected to be a treasure trove of behind-the-scenes laughter, bloopers, and heartwarming commentary. But no one could have predicted what it actually delivered. Nestled among the extra footage was a moment that felt stolen from reality itself. Byun Woo-seok and Hye-yoon, sitting side by side, spoke softly, their voices almost drowned by the bustle of the set. And then, as if they were alone in their own world, they shared a vow. We will never. The words trailed into something simple, yet devastatingly powerful. Whether it was never forget, never give up, or never let go, the ambiguity was part of the magic. It left room for fans to interpret, to fill in the blanks with their own imaginations. Sincerity in their eyes was undeniable. The vow was sealed not with drama, but with quiet conviction. The reaction was instantaneous. Fans replayed the moment again and again, recording it on their phones, uploading it to social media, creating GIF sets that looped endlessly. Did you see the way he looked at her? One tweet screamed, accumulating thousands of retweets within hours. Her smile right after, like she knew this was forever. Another fan posted, their comment flooding with crying emojis. The hashtags began to climb, Sweet Vow Blu-ray, Byun Woo-seok Hye-yoon, secret that never changes. In a matter of hours, the vow had transcended its place on a Blu-ray disc and entered the bloodstream of the internet. TikTok creators jumped onto the frenzy with lightning speed. Edits of the scene, slowed down with dramatic ballads overlaying the dialogue, spread like wildfire. One fan added soft piano music and captions that read, a promise that outlives time itself. Another paired the clip with wedding imagery, turning the vow into a romantic prophecy. Video pulled in millions of views, and the comment sections were flooded with debates. Some declared it proof that their favorite couple was real. Others insisted it was simply two actors swept up in the emotion of the moment. But regardless of interpretation, the passion was undeniable. Weibo exploded as well. with users flooding threads with speculation. Netizens analyzed the scene frame by frame, pointing out body language, stolen glances, the subtle way Byun leaned closer as he spoke. "This isn't acting," one user declared. "This is real." Others pushed back, suggesting it was just the result of chemistry honed from months of working together. Yet even skeptics could not deny the intensity of the moment. Or imagined. It had captured the world. Journalists scrambled to keep up. Articles popped up across major entertainment sites, with headlines designed to stoke the flames. Byun Woo-seok and Kim Hye-yoon's hidden vow, romance or illusion. The Blu-ray that broke the internet. What does their sweet promise really mean? Even mainstream news outlets joined in, with segments discussing how two stars had managed to dominate global conversations without saying a word outside of the footage. The industry, too, took notice. Our experts called it a masterclass in organic branding. How the Blu-ray release, already anticipated, had now skyrocketed into legendary territory. Fans associated with the actors found themselves trending. Products selling out overnight simply because fans connected them to the couple. Streaming platforms reported surges in views of the series. New fans discovered, or rediscovered, the story that had given rise to the vow. Fashion houses began reaching out for joint endorsements, or to harness the magic of their combined appeal. Byun Woo-seok and Kim Hye-yoon. The vow became both a gift and a challenge. On one hand, it strengthened their status as cultural icons, drawing them into a mythology that few stars ever achieve. On the other, it placed them under an even harsher spotlight. Every future project, every appearance, every casual interview would be weighed against a vow, interpreted through the lens of that sweet moment captured on Blu-ray. Individuality risked being consumed by the narrative of the couple. Even as their popularity soared, the vow itself became a kind of legend. Fans wrote poetry about it, wove it into fan fiction, and even organized events to celebrate it. In Seoul, a cafe held a themed night where the vow was replayed on a loop, and fans gathered to discuss what it meant over lattes and pastries. In Manila, a group of fans hosted a live-streamed panel dissecting every syllable. Across the globe, online communities shared artwork, videos, and even songs inspired by the vow. What had begun as a quiet promise between two people had blossomed into a worldwide phenomenon, larger than the moment itself. Through it all, the vow carried a sense of permanence. A secret that never changes. Fans clung to those words, whether literal or metaphorical. To them, it was not just a line spoken in passing. It was a declaration of something eternal, a reassurance in a world where so much feels fleeting. The vow became an anchor, something they could hold on to in times of uncertainty. A reminder that some bonds, whether real or imagined, can feel unbreakable. The sweet vow on Blu-ray had done more than capture a moment. It had crystallized a cultural truth, that audiences long for authenticity, for connections that feel deeper than performance, for the glimpse of humanity behind the mask of stardom. Byun Woo-seok and Kim Hye-yoon may never confirm what the vow truly meant, but in the end, they didn't need to. The vow belonged not just to them, but to everyone who heard it, everyone who felt it, everyone who believed. The frenzy surrounding the sweet vow did not fade when the Blu-ray stopped spinning. If anything, the aftermath was more intense than the moment itself. It began as a quiet exchange tucked into the special features of a disc had erupted into a cultural event that refused to settle. The vow was replayed endlessly, collected in essays, celebrated in fan art, mocked in memes, and debated in podcasts. Just a Blu-ray bonus anymore, it was a symbol, a phenomenon, and a story that demanded to be told again and again. The industry, reactions poured in with remarkable speed. Directors who had worked with Byun Woo-seok praised his vulnerability, suggesting that only someone deeply authentic could create a moment so raw. Fellow actors congratulated Kim Hye-yoon for her fearlessness, applauding the emotional clarity she brought to everything she touched. Chemistry like this doesn't happen by accident, screenwriter posted, his words quickly going viral. Yet not everyone was convinced. A producer, speaking anonymously, claimed the vow was a clever PR move. "These things are planned," he insisted. "It's too perfect, too cinematic to be real." That skepticism, far from killing the story, only breathed new life into it. Fans fresh battles to wage online. The media couldn't get enough. Major newspapers framed the vow as a cultural turning point, while entertainment blogs filled pages with speculation about what the promise really meant. Talk shows replayed the footage with slow-motion analysis, commentators pointing to the subtle brush of Byun's hand or the curve of Kim's smile. Morning news anchors debated whether the was a declaration of love or simply an inside joke caught on camera. Every detail, no matter how small, magnified until it carried the weight of revelation. Byun Woo-seok, the vow cast a long shadow over his career trajectory. Overnight, he went from celebrated actor to living myth. Past roles were re-examined in light of the promise, fans insisting that his portrayals of devotion on screen were reflections of his true self. Interviews he had given years earlier were resurfaced with fresh significance. He once said loyalty was his most important value, fans declared. Now we know he meant it. Kim Hye-yoon faced a similar transformation. Long admired for her intelligence and independence, she was suddenly framed as the keeper of a vow that transcended fiction. Articles praised her as both artist and muse. Her status that blurred the line between character and person. At the same time, the vow unleashed a tidal wave of fan activity unlike anything the industry had seen in years. Global fandoms mobilized, creating hashtags, watch parties, and producing endless streams of content. In Tokyo, fans rented a theater to host a Blu-ray marathon, their applause to coincide with the vow. In New York, a fan collective launched a mural project. Images of Byun and Kim on city walls alongside the words "Never Changes." Online, fanfiction writers churned out sprawling sagas inspired by the promise, while musicians composed songs that reimagined the vow as a ballad, a symphony, even a rap. The vow was no longer just a scene, it had become a muse. Shipping wars erupted. Some fans declared themselves firmly on Team Real, convinced that the vow was an unscripted declaration of romance. Others rolled their eyes, dismissing it as fantasy and reminding everyone that actors are professionals capable of creating illusions. The debates grew heated. Forums split into camps, each side armed with screenshots, interviews, and speculative timelines. Yet even in their disagreements, contributed to the same outcome, keeping the vow alive in the public consciousness. Cultural scholars joined the fray, writing thoughtful essays on what the sweet vow revealed about modern celebrity. One argued that the moment illustrated the collapse of boundaries between performance and authenticity in the digital era. Another suggested that the vow tapped into a universal human longing for permanence, offering comfort in a world where everything feels fleeting. Sociologists noted that the vow became a parasocial anchor, allowing fans to project their own desires for stability and connection onto two stars who embodied those ideals. In this sense, the vow was less about Byun and Kim themselves and more about the audiences who needed them. Brands, of course, wasted no time capitalizing on the moment. Luxury labels scrambled to sign joint contracts, on the magnetic pull of their combined image. A jewelry company launched a campaign featuring rings marketed as the vow collection, and fans bought them in droves, wearing them as tokens of loyalty not just to the stars, but to the idea of everlasting devotion. Cosmetic companies highlighted Kim Hye-yoon's glow in the Blu-ray footage, linking it to their products in targeted ads. Tech brands leaned into Byun Woo-seok's charm, positioning him as the face of reliability and strength. The vow wasn't just emotional, it was profitable. The couple themselves remained strikingly careful. Neither confirmed nor denied interpretations of the vow. In interviews, they smiled at a mention of the Blu-ray but offered no definitive answers. It was a beautiful moment, Byun would say, his tone deliberately ambiguous. Sometimes, things speak for themselves, Kim added in another conversation. Their refusal to clarify only deepened the mystery, ensuring the vow remained fertile ground for speculation. As time passed, the sweet vow took on the quality of legend. It was compared to iconic celebrity moments of the past, the Beatles' rooftop concert, Madonna and Britney's infamous kiss, the Oscars chemistry between Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper. Many argue that Byun and Kim's vow carried a different weight. Unlike those spectacles, it was subtle, understated, even private. It was discovered, not announced. That difference gave it a sense of authenticity that spectacle could never replicate. The legacy of the vow reached far beyond entertainment. Infiltrated everyday life. Couples exchanged the phrase "never changes" in their wedding vows. Teachers quoted it in classrooms as examples of commitment. Motivational speakers referenced it in talks about resilience and loyalty. It became shorthand for constancy, a phrase with meaning independent of its origin. Vow had transcended the stars who spoke it, entering the lexicon of culture itself. With every retelling, the core mystery endured. What did Byun Woo-seok and Kim Hye-yoon truly mean in that moment? Was it a professional promise, a personal pledge, or a spontaneous fragment of intimacy that slipped past the cameras? Perhaps only they will ever know. But maybe that's the point. The power of the vow lies not in its clarity, but in its ambiguity. It allows every viewer to project their own desires onto it. Get personal. To feel that it belongs to them. In the end, the sweet vow on Blu-ray was never just a scene. It was a story, a mirror, a myth. Captured something rare in a world saturated with content, a moment that felt eternal. Whether it was scripted or sincere. Offered the illusion, or perhaps the reality, of permanence in a culture defined by change. For Byun Woo-seok and Kim Hye-yoon, it secured their place not only as actors, but as symbols. And for the fans who replayed it endlessly, it was proof that some promises, even whispered, can echo forever. Sweet Vow captured on Blu-ray was more than a bonus scene, it was a revelation. Byun Woo-seok and Kim Hye-yoon, whether knowingly or not, created a cultural moment that blurred the lines between acting and authenticity, leaving fans breathless and critics fascinated. Promise, subtle, tender, and open to interpretation, has since grown into a living legend. A phrase etched into global fan culture and beyond. In an industry where everything changes with a flick of a headline, this vow stood out as a reminder of constancy, of devotion, of something that feels eternal. Perhaps the true meaning will always remain theirs alone. Yet, that may be why the vow endures, because it allows each of us to believe in a secret that never changes. To every reader, fan, dreamer who followed this journey, thank you. Your passion, curiosity, imagination are the reason stories like these come alive long after the cameras stop rolling. It is your energy that turns a fleeting vow into cultural echo, a moment into memory, and two stars into timeless symbols.